We're going to start off Chapter 9 today with Lesson 9.1, Powers and Exponents, and just some vocabulary that you need to know. If you see 5 with a 3 up above it, the 3 is known as a power, okay, which is also called an exponent. The 5 is a base. The base is the number that is what you're actually dealing with. The exponent tells how many times to multiply the base times itself. So 5 with a 3 up there really means 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, so 5 times 5 times 5. That is not 15, because 5 times 5 is how much? 25. And 25 times 5, 125. Okay, so we're taking things and multiplying it by itself according to the exponent. We're just going to get some practice in. Write some expressions, some products using exponents. So if you would see 9 times 9 times 9 times 9, what would we write using an exponent? Haley? 9 to the 4th. Okay, -1 times -1 times -1. First of all, it's in parentheses because of the negative, but what would we write, Trayton? -1 to the third. Okay, the same thing's going to be true of variables. W times W times W times W times W. Shane? W to the 5th. Okay, now we're going to kind of expand things here on the right. It is 1/2 times x times x times x times x times y times y times y. So that just means each part where the base repeats, you write that base to how many times it's there. There's going to be a number in front. Sometimes that happens. But what would the final answer be of that in simplest form using exponents? Any ideas? Nobody has any ideas. Stephen?
X to the 4th times y to the 3rd times 1/2.
Okay, the 1/2 would be in front. It's like the coefficient. So 1/2 x to the 4th, y to the 3rd would be how you write that. When there's multiple bases, you just look and see how many times each one is there. I will tell you this before I forget about it. Let's say we had one like this. They want you to write this with an exponent. How many times is that a there? 1. So you would have to say a to the 1. They're just saying if they want you to write using an exponent, then you write how many times it's there, 1. All right, I kind of got ahead of myself there. We've got this expression, 5x plus 1, and it's multiplied by itself. So, Layla, what should we write?
5x plus 1 to the 2nd power.
Okay, in parentheses, 5x plus 1, and you put it to the 2nd power. Okay, questions about that? Make sure you read the directions carefully, because sometimes it's going to say just write that product using exponents, but sometimes it's going to say what the next part wants you to do, and that is evaluate. Who can tell me what evaluate means? What does evaluate mean, Shane? Solve. Find out what that is. What is the value of it? So we're going to get some expressions like this one. X squared minus y cubed. Kind of got that y cut off there. X squared minus y cubed. If x equals -5 and y equals 2. Okay, so what you have to do with this is substitute the values in for the variable. Like this one is -5, I'm plugging in for x squared, minus 2 to the 3rd. Now we have to evaluate or solve what that is. So the first part, -5 squared, is -5 times -5, 25. minus, and then 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So 25 minus 8 would be 17. Okay, we have another one that looks similar. We're going to use the same values of x and y. It says y minus x, and the quantity of that is squared. So I'm going to put 2 minus, and for x I'm going to put negative 5 squared. What happens to that minus negative 5? It becomes an addition. So inside parentheses needs to be done first. So 7 squared is 49. Okay, 11 to the third power. We need to evaluate that. That means 11 times 11 times 11. That must be why I've got this calculator situation over here. There's 3 ways that you could get this done on your calculator. Some calculators have this little caret button, and if that's the case, you would put 11, hit the caret button, and a 3, and then equals, and it would give you the answer. These two, it just depends on how your calculator is set up. Y to the x, and pretty much it's going to work the same way as the caret button. You would put 11 and then y to the x button and 3, and that should do it for you. Either way, 11 to the third power. Let me see here just a sec. Okay, so 11 to the third power is 1,331. So those you can use a calculator if you need to. Okay, so you can do either one of the ways over there on the right, but if it's got numbers to a bigger power or something you just don't know, you can use a calculator. All right, and finally a fraction squared. Let's just see what this would look like. 3/4 to the second power means 3/4 times 3/4. And when we multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 4 is 16, and that would be your final answer, 9/16. Okay, any questions about that? Last but not least, something that I hope you remember forever, because you'll need this as you go on in math. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Okay, so that means this. If you have a variable like a to the 0 power, no matter what a is, you can evaluate that to be 1. Just a random number, 6 to the 0 power, evaluates to 1. And then finally, 2,175. I'm just pulling out a bigger number, but it's to the 0 power. That means it really equals just 1. So I can't impress upon you enough, anything to the 0 power is 1. Don't think that it equals 0. Don't think that it equals that number. It equals 1. So that something to a 0 power might be an expression. Make sure you plug in a 1 for it. Okay, questions?